It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southwest region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors Southwest.
Hi everybody, welcome to the show. Of all the lakes, reservoirs in our south and southwest regions, I don't know of one that's taken such a beating, endured so many hardships, but yet come back with such flying colors as the lake right behind me. This is Possum Kingdom Lake, located in northwest Texas, north of the city of Mineral Wells. Now, we're doing something on this week's show that we rarely do. We've actually already been out fishing. It's afternoon right now and we're finished. What we're going to do is do a little flashback and take you back to very early this morning. In fact, right after daylight. Why? Because the striper fishing has made the best comeback of all. In particular, over the last 2 years, there's one fishing guide that's really been on these stripers really strong. His name is Micah Costa. He guides for stripers, hybrids, and white bass at many lakes across North Texas, but particularly here at Possum Kingdom, and he's been a great friend of our show for many years. So this morning, we went out and met up with Micah Costa and his neighbor and friend, Tim, who was in the boat with him, and they caught a few stripers. We're gonna milk Mike for some good information that may help you if you'd like to plan your very own fishing trip here to Possum Kingdom and catch some really good-sized striped bass. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and while we're doing that, lucky you get to go around your local region for your fishing, lake, river, bay reports from our expert team of insider reporters. It's all coming up in the next action-packed half hour, and it all gets started right now back at the FSN studios with your weekend plan.
If you can avoid the crowds, Labor Day looks to be the best chance to catch fish over the holiday weekend. Both Saturday and Sunday are predicted to have poor conditions, while Monday is listed as good, with the best action starting a few hours before sunrise and again at 4:35 in the afternoon. Look for the sun to rise at 7:01 and set at 7:54. And evenings will feature a crescent moon that is 23% illuminated. Stay with us, we're coming right back with freshwater and coastal fishing updates from around the region. Plus, I'll return with Bassmaster Elite Angler Ott Defoe to answer one of your questions on this week's Ask the Pro.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Costa Sunglasses. See what's out there. By Luz, setting a new standard in fishing performance. Feel the difference. By Strike King Lures, #1 in fishing. And by Lowrance Electronics. Find, navigate, dominate.
Hey everybody, we've made it back out onto the lake at Possum Kingdom early in the morning here. We're with guide Micah Costa, who guides on several different lakes up and down the Brazos River system. We're down by the dam right now doing some striper fishing with live bait, and as you can see, Micah's already got a fish on. He's with his neighbor, Tim, and Tim's actually reeling this first fish up. Let's see what we got.
Summertime is great. Early morning, you don't want to miss the morning bite, in my opinion.
And so you normally get here literally at or before daylight?
Right at daylight, 6:30ish. Right now, the sun up comes up, so we're right here.
And you'll actually find these fish biting in almost dark conditions?
Almost dark conditions early. Yeah, and they may bite at night too, but I'm usually not here during the night. But
now, how late into the day can you get the fish to bite?
Well, depending on the weather, looks like we got a good 7-8 pound fish here.
All right, good fish right there.
Got another fish on right here, Tim. Get after it.
Wow, you got two at once, doubles.
Look at there. That's a healthy fish. At 9 pounds probably at least.
Wow. So we got doubles right off the bat here. And Mike, you're fishing live bait on these fish, right?
Right,
All
live
bait?
shad, live gizzard shad. Though thread fins will work. And summertime, you can also catch them down rigging. And but live bait is a pretty much a great choice this time of year. These fish are running from about 5 to 12 pounds, an occasional 16 pounders being caught. And we got a little mess here, trying to get.
So that fish is about a what, a 4 or 5 pounder, something like that?
Yeah, this is 5, 6 pounds right there.
All right, well, we've got a great start out here. Sun's not even up yet, so let's see what's going to happen. But there's 2 fish for you right off the bat early in the morning, just like we said. Got a good start to the day. Let's get you started with some fishing and lake reports from your local region from our team of insider reporters. Let's start off in Louisiana with Cajun Phil and Kevin.
It's Captain Kevin Broussard here with your Fox Sports Outdoor Report. We're talking Louisiana saltwater fishing. I tell you what, we're in the summertime pattern right now, and fishing is really turning on across the whole state of Louisiana along the coast. I tell you what, we had 45 trout, we had 10 keeper reds, we had to throw back 10 of these big bull reds like this. We caught the redfish on soft plastics. They were schooling under the birds in the middle of the lake in about 5 to 8 feet of water. I tell you what, the trout, they were in about 6 to 8 foot of water over oyster beds. We caught those on live shrimp. Right now, fish early, fish late for your best action. I tell you what, get out there on the water and go get you some fish.
All right, what a morning of fishing. I tell you what, he's been catching them like that for about 2 weeks now, solid. You know, what's strange right now is a couple of days they're gonna go out there and catch nothing but redfish. I mean, just hammering the redfish. All of our guys, 3 and 4, 5 of them going out at a time, all coming in with their limits of 20 redfish each and every day. Bad problem is most of the redfish are really big right now. But last 3 or 4 days, lots of speckled trout coming from the Cameron Jetty. So right now, friends, it's really good down here on Calcasieu Lake. Give us a call, 337-540-5530, or look us up on the web, CajunPhil@hotmail.com. Now, as far as the bass fishing goes, same story as last week. Caddo, Bistino, Lake Darbone, Toledo Bend. Lots of school bass actually going on right now. Keep in mind the grass is pretty heavy at all areas. If you want to try early in the morning, late afternoon, buzzbait. Wider chartreuse skirt, pull that buzzbait across the top of that grass, bam, you're going to get some big old strikes. If not, get right on the edge of it, throw a small spinner bait, or also topwater baits early and late, and you're going to catch a lot of bass. Other than that, during the day, get on that school bus and start chasing them old school bass because they are everywhere. Still getting a lot of reports from the Chapelai Basin right now. Bass are hitting mostly small crankbaits, something like a -1, something that's not going to go very deep. Also small single spin spinner baits. Gold blades are working the best because the water's real dark. It's coffee color right now. Still a lot of brim being caught. Chickapin, bluegill, goggle-eye, and white perch, all hitting right now at the Chapelai Basin. Friends, fishing's good all across the state of Louisiana. Come and get you some.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're on Possum Kingdom Lake today. Glad to have you along with us. The sun has come up. It's early in the morning. Doing a little striper fishing for you on this week's show, talking about the comeback of Possum Kingdom after terrible fish kills back in the early 2000s. We're out here side by side with our guide friend, Mike Acosta, who runs a guide service for whites and stripers and hybrids on several lakes in North Texas. In fact, he's out here with his neighbor, Tim. Hey, Mike, while he's reeling that fish in, talk a little bit about the fishery here and what's happened over the last few years.
Since 2001, we've had golden algae blooms on the Brazos and affected the fisheries. In fact, wiped the fishery out several times. Right now, we haven't had a serious bloom in the last few years, and the fishing is coming back.
So by coming back, Mike, what do you mean by that? What's an average day like for you now?
Well, right now, actually the big fish, there's a few remaining big fish, as you can see, decent sized fish that weren't killed in the last bloom, and they are good to about 16 pounds on many days. So I'm trying to focus on catching some of these bigger fish, but there are huge schools of 15 to 17-inch fish. In a matter of a few months, we will have a lot of 18-inch keeper fish here on Possum Kingdom.
Now hold that fish up. Show us that fish. How big do you think that fish will go?
6, 7 pounds maybe.
And is that kind of average for what you've been catching?
Between 6 and 10 pounds, I'd say so, yes.
Wow, awesome. Well, we've got a good start talking a little bit about the past of Possum Kingdom and the hopeful future for the fishery here. Hey, let's get you some more local fishing and lake reports. Let's start off in Texas and freshwater with Brian Hughes, followed by Bill Olson down on the Texas Gulf.
Hi everybody, welcome to this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Executive Outfitters. Now this week, even though it's still the heat of the summer, I'm here at Squaw Creek, which is a power plant lake. Don't let that throw you off because there's great bass fishing in the timber on Carolina rigs. Now you can start your morning over the various grasses with topwaters and your Cincos in your natural colors. Then move on to those Carolina rigs along the timbered points for your largemouth bass. Use your 10-inch worms and or your finch fly type baits to catch those bass. Now catfish, you'll find them on those same timbered points, but you'll want to use either live bait or cut bait or move up by the dam. Now don't forget, Squaw Creek is open to bank anglers only on Thursdays and open to boaters as well on Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. But you will need a reservation ahead of time, and they only allow 100 boats at any one time, so get in early to get on to Squaw Creek this summer. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Executive Outfitters. Now let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. He's on the coast.
Hi folks, Texas Outdoors Journal brings you this week's report and has once again been named the best major outdoor magazine in Texas. If you fish and hunt in Texas, you should be reading Texas Outdoors Journal. We'll tell you where to go, what to expect once you get there, and how to do it a little bit better. Pick up a copy of Texas Outdoors Journal on newsstands or subscribe at the website on the screen. Well, it's obvious that when it comes to fishing the Texas coast this summer, it all depends on the part of the coast you fish, where you go, and how conditions might change throughout the day. This year, anglers have certainly had to adapt and overcome. On days when conditions have performed close to normal, birds have worked over bait and good fish have been caught on Sabine Lake. There's also been a deep bite at the Causeway Reef and around reefs along the ship channel. Just use a heavier jig head. Now in the Galveston Bay complex, the deeper reefs as well as the well pads have been holding fish. However, anglers have needed light wind days in order to fish those areas. The surf is produced when the winds have allowed, so have the short rigs. However, winds have been fickle with some days starting out light and then picking up speed during the course of the day. East and West Matagorda have been fairly consistent around mid-bay reefs and deeper grass guts. Black drum have given anglers out of Rockport and Port Aransas another fish to target. Deeper channels have held black drum. The flats have given up reds on cut bait. Now Baffin Bay's deeper rocks have given up a few trout. So has the deeper channels out of Port Mansfield and from the Convention Center northward on the lower Laguna Madre. When winds have been strong on the lower coast, redfish have been reliable on the flats. Trout continue to feed around Longbar. This weekend, both Saturday and Sunday have a double tide schedule of 2 high and 2 low tides each day. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. By Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. By Motor Guide, trolling motors engineered for anglers. By Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Welcome to the big leagues. By Fort Worth Nissan. Fox Sports Outdoors is powered by Fort Worth Nissan. And by Whataburger. Get your day started at Whataburger with the new jalapeno cheddar biscuit.
Hey, welcome back everybody. Fox Sports Outdoors today on Possum Kingdom Lake. We started off the day, as you well saw, catching striped bass with Mike Acosta. And right now, man, there's some big blow-ups in there. Look at that big white bass, will you? Big dude. We've gone to white bass fishing. And that is a monster right there. And he spit up a shad. Shows you what they're feeding on. I was just driving down the lake. And look at that, I looked over. I'll tell you in just a second what these fish are doing. Here is what they're feeding on. I'll put that in my hand and look at that. That is a little thread fin shad right there. And that's what they're eating. And then this is what I'm throwing, a spoon. And it looks just like a thread fin. That's a big white right there. Man. Right here in front, I can catch another one while I'm talking, but look back here behind me. See all these bluff cliffs back here? These white bass have got the shad pinned back up against all these rocks right here. And they're just thrashing and feeding on. There's another one right there. That's gonna be another big one, I think. Let's see. We'll catch one more for you right here. I could probably sit here and catch a whole bunch of them, That's just a little striper right there. The striped bass fishery, just like Mike told us earlier, is coming back big time, and there's thousands and thousands of these little 14, 15-inch striped bass in here. Give them another couple of years and the striped bass fishery is going to be fantastic here at PK. That's one thing you want to watch for in the summertime, is watch for shad pushed up against these bluffs. And they're just hitting it every time I throw it in there right now. But they're pushing them up against all these big rocks, and the shad have got nowhere to go, nowhere to run, and the fish have just got them pinned up against there and feeding on them like crazy. That's just another little striper. All right, well, we're gonna get you some more fishing reports right now, but we've got something working here. A lot of fun. I want to bring a kid out and do this. This is a fantastic thing to do. Let's get you some more fishing and lake reports right now. Let's go to Oklahoma with Gary Dollahan.
We've had an amazing summer of weather here in Oklahoma, and it looks like this last part of August is going to settle into more of a typical summertime Oklahoma pattern. But you know what? That's a good thing, because that means the bass fishing is more predictable. Getting good bass fishing reports coming in from several places across the state at this time, including Sardis, Hudson, Texoma, and Weber's Falls. And all of those places have something in common in that those bass are coming from depths of 5 to 8 feet deep, and rock comes into play in most of those situations. Now, what the guys are telling me, giving me these reports, is that they're keeping their boats in 10 to 12 foot of water. They're making casts where they can bring those baits back through those depths of 5 to 8 feet, and they're really keying on rock as playing a big part of holding fish right now. It can either be a rock pile, a shallow hump, or a ledge with rock or some other type of structure on it. Now, my personal 3 baits for this time of year, which I think you can use in many places across the state to catch those bass right now, one is the biffle bug. Pro angler Tommy Biffle proved long ago that Oklahoma bass stay shallow in the summertime. You can catch them shallow. The biffle hardhead with the biffle bug, green pumpkin is a great color right now. Cast that bait, come back through there, reeling it quickly so that thing is ricocheting off of the rock and other structure down there. It's just like fishing a soft plastic crankbait. Speaking of crankbaits, my favorite for this time of year is the Norman's Deep Little End. This bait's going to run 6 to 9 feet, which is putting you perfectly at that key depth where those bass are coming from at this time. The third bait is a plastic worm. My favorite is an 8-inch hooktail, great big red color. This is a skinny profile bait, doesn't have a whole lot of action to it, but man, it is a deadly fish catcher this time of year when you're keeping that bait in and around structure like those bass are hanging in. Great time of year to be fishing in Oklahoma, but one thing about it, you can't catch them if you don't go.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. By Mercury Marine, celebrating 75 years of marine excellence. By Stren Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability. And by Tracker Boats. It's more than just a boat, it's a tracker.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for one of your questions to be answered by a fishing professional on the Waterburger Ask the Pro. This week, Darren wants to know, do you fizz a fish caught from deep water? And if so, how is it done? For the answer, we checked with professional angler Ott Defoe.
Whenever you're fishing for deep bass, something that happens is that those fish will get a lot of air in their swim bladders. And a lot of people like to fizz them. I actually use a technique where you clip lead weights to the fish's fins on its bellies to just basically offset what the air is doing. I use a flip clip is what it's called. Just clip it onto their fins and it'll just offset that weight. The bigger the fish is, the more lead it usually takes. But it works for fish caught up to 30 or 40 feet deep. Extremely deep fish, I have to fizz them along with using those clips. But for moderately deep fish, those clips are a lot easier and a lot faster and a lot safer for me to use.
Thank you, Ott. If you would like one of our pros to answer your question, just visit our website, click on the Ask the Pro link, and send us your information. Now let's see who wins a pair of brand new sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week.
This week's winner in the Costa Catch of the Week contest is Isaac Lamar of Garden Ridge, Texas. And Isaac is showing off his 10-pound, 2-ounce largemouth bass he caught out of the Blanco River in south central Texas. Each week, our winner wins a free pair of Costa sunglasses of their choosing. And if you'd like to be the next winner, go straight to our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com, and on the right-hand side of the front page, click in the Costa Catch of the Week box, follow the instructions to send us your big fish photo, and you could be our next winner. And if you'd like to see all of the Costa frame and lens styles, you can see those by going to the front page of our website, again, foxsportsoutdoors.com. Clicking on the Costa logo, you can see all the frame and lens styles, including the frame style I was wearing on this week's episode called Switchfoot. Next up on the Academy Sports and Outdoors Right Stuff feature, it's the right gear and the right setup to catch these stripers like you saw Mike Acosta and his friend catching on this week's episode. And it begins by sliding about a 1.5 ounce lead egg sinker up on your main line. Then you tie a barrel swivel on your line. Then you tie leader material. I like Stren fluorocast in about 14 or 17 pound. Then you put about 1.5 inch long bait hook on there. Then we find a nice lively shad. This one's about 5 or 6 inches long, which is perfect. Stick it in his mouth, hook it through the cartilage in his nose. That is like cotton candy to a striped bass. There is a school of thought that's very prevalent in our country today, and it's called moral relativism. Now those are just big fancy words, and all it means is that there's no absolute standard for right and wrong. That what's right or what's wrong for any individual is determined by his own set of circumstances, where he lives, his background, his upbringing. Basically, it just means that everybody gets to determine for themselves what right and wrong is. I come from the exact opposite school of thought. I believe that there is an absolute standard for right and wrong that applies to all people, all places, all times, everywhere. My personal standards for right and wrong are dictated by my faith in God, but the great news is that you get to choose what you believe. Hey, I hope you enjoyed our trip today to Possum Kingdom Lake in Northwest Texas, fishing for stripers and white bass. We got to watch Mike Acosta and his friend Tim catch some really nice stripers from about 6 to about 9 pounds. Those fish are being caught somewhere from Neely Slough down to about the dam. That's the general area that most of these stripers are being caught in. Here's a quick picture. Some of those stripers, but again, there's some good quality stripers. Not a whole lot of them, but great fighting. If you'd like to book your own trip with Mike to come catch some of these, either here at Possum Kingdom or at Whitney, and he actually guides on Lake Granbury and Lake Bridgeport, Benbrook, several other lakes around the North Texas area for white bass, hybrid stripers, and striped bass. You're looking at his contact information on the screen. You can give him a call and book your very own guide trip. It's a lot of fun. Don't forget to join us for next week's episode. We'll be on at 10:30 Thursday night with the repeat airing Saturday morning at 7:30. And if those times ever change, you'll be the first to know right on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. You can also see the latest episode of our show 24/7 right on that front page. And then new this season, right below that, you can click on more episodes and video. Here, you click in that box. Once you do that, it takes you to a page where we've got all the video stored, all of our past episodes for both the Southeast and Southwest versions of our show from the entire season. We've got last season's episodes, lots of how-to videos, stuff that matters, just a whole bunch of great videos right there in one spot on our website, one central location at foxsportsoutdoors.com. From Possum Kingdom Lake, until next week, I'm Barry Stokes saying be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, guys.